Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Tipping Point podcast. I have two very special people with me, Gymoholicz, entrepreneurs, content creators, over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. They've been in the game for a while, and I'm going to learn everything about, business, content creation, just how they got to where they got to and where they're headed in the future. So without further ado, Austin, Tiana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Doing great. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I think it's just funny to say on camera how we met, actually, because people aren't going to believe it, but it's just, we got to say, I was literally just walking down the street and you two were walking down the street and I just ran into you and I just decided to say something. And I'm like, oh, you guys seem like you're on YouTube. You seem like you're content creators. Have you heard of my channel? Said no, and I said no problem. I showed you, and then little do we know you're from Canada actually, and you were staying in LA, and here we are. We're in the studio now, so it's interesting how that works, huh?
Oh yeah.
I think it was meant to be because you caught us at the perfect time, and this is actually our last day in LA right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it was God's plan, and we're super grateful for the opportunity.
100%.
Yeah. So, how did you two meet?
I'll let you go first.
So this is actually a funny story. I hit her up on social media. We had some mutual friends and I kind of knew of her. We live close, so it's actually weird that we haven't met before. But I asked her to hang out. And after a few times communicating, we finally eventually got together. Her mom dropped her off at my house and I've kind of planned out a date and I kind of had this pre-planned. She dropped her off. I gave her mom a hug. I gave her a hug. And my plan was to walk her down to the dock. So we walked down. We kind of started to get to know each other. And when we got to the dock, it was the middle of the winter, freezing cold. There was ice on the water. And I wanted to impress her. And something that I was into at the time was doing cold plunges. So very first time I met her.
Yeah.
And we both had just turned 16 at this time. So we were pretty young. I was kind of like a savage when I was younger, I don't know, just trying to impress girls and stuff. So I stripped down in my underwear in the middle of the winter, freezing cold Canadian weather, and I jumped in the freezing cold water and did a cold plunge for 5 minutes to impress her really. And then after that, it was kind of just destiny, and we just hung out more and more and just kind of became best friends over time. And
Yeah, honestly, everything since the day that we met felt so natural and just felt like everything was meant to be. It was kind of weird. It's too good to be true, to be honest. It felt like something was gonna go wrong, but it never did.
Wow. Okay, so here we are. So it's interesting how things work, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what made you interested to get started in content creation?
I can start on that, but this is for me personally. Tiana has different reasons, obviously.
Sure.
But for me, at a very, very young age, it was always my dream. And I always felt deep down that I always wanted to be an entertainer. I remember being a kid, just watching YouTube videos all the time and just being so passionate about it. I had friends that wanted to be doctors, wanted to be lawyers, professional athletes. And deep down, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. So throughout the journey of growing up, I got a farm job, a landscaping job, and it taught me a lot of discipline. And through all that hard work and distraction, it made me realize I don't want to be doing that for the rest of my life. And at this point, I never thought that I was capable of being a YouTuber just because you have the small town mindset. Mm-hmm. But being in those really, really shitty jobs, it motivated me to push for a better life. So I got into entrepreneurship, started reading a lot of books, and got into the gym and started to push myself to be a better person. I then started my first vending machine business at 16, right when I met Tiana. Mm-hmm. And that got me really, really locked into the entrepreneurship mindset. Moving forward, we started a pressure washing business when we graduated. And deep down, nothing ever really felt right because I knew I always wanted to be a YouTuber and I wanted to spend more time with Tiana and be in the gym and do something we love.
Sure.
So we started to research things online. Mm-hmm. We started to learn how to do copywriting and doing a lot of online things. And then eventually we were kind of posting here and there, because we were still doing social media. And then one video randomly popped off, and I'll let Tiana explain that video that like made us go viral, because it was so random, and that kind of opened our eyes. Like, we can actually do this. Like, we have potential. So that video popped off, and we started going like more here, more there. And I was working like a full-time job on top of everything else. And we eventually reached like 10,000 followers. And at that point, I was like very like self-doubtful. I didn't have the confidence that I do today, but Tiana really pushed me, and she seen that like potential I had inside me. So I eventually quit my 9-to-5, and we decided about a year ago today that we're going to take this full time. So after we made that decision, we just gave 100% 7 days a week, regardless of what family was telling us. This isn't going to work out. You know, people are telling us, get a real job, go to college. And that was like obviously hard, but we just kept pushing. And 1 year later, we're in LA collaborating with people we used to look up to. Obviously we got the 100,000 subscriber plaque, and now we're pushing for the 1 million. So yeah, it started, I guess, to answer your question, from the very beginning for me, as soon as I can remember talking and walking.
Yeah, honestly, when I first met Austin, I was struggling quite a bit mentally, physically, emotionally. I'd gotten out of a pretty toxic relationship with some of my friends and just other people in my life, and Austin really helped redirect me onto a way better path. I didn't really understand my potential or understand like what was out there for me. I was just very like straight and narrow and taught, or like listened to what I was taught in school, and that's not saying that's wrong or anything. That just wasn't right for me. And so Austin really helped me find myself and find my potential. And yeah, it's actually pretty funny. The one video was I was hitting a PR, and so this was like throughout, I did a weight loss journey. So when I did that, I was like, oh, I just really want to hit this PR, and I want to film it, so I want to be able to look back at it. And so I was like, Austin, could you come spot me? And he came and spot me, and I think he like kissed me on the forehead or something. And then we both had our individual TikToks, and we just like posted, you know, corny little things every once in a while.
Right.
And he was like, oh, let's post this with a POV, like POV my gym crush did this. And we posted a couple hashtags on it, and then woke up the next day and it was like 5 million or something. And it was just, it blew up. And so from there I was kind of like skeptical. I was like, whoa, like that's kind of weird. Like that doesn't just happen to anyone. So from there on out, we just kind of went in and out. And then one day we were just like, let's do this full time. Like, why not? We have nothing to lose. We were 16, and yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's exciting. You were talking a little bit about how you were dreaming of meeting up with people that you look up to, and then you came here and that became a reality. Who are some of the people you looked up to in the content creation space?
The ones that I had met in LA, I've been watching Bradley Martin for years, Danny Duncan, and it's like, now it's like shifted over more, but like my childhood idols, there's like definitely were always like Bradley Martin, Danny Duncan, and it's like actually meeting those people was super surreal.
Yeah, mine was probably Sarah Safari. I look up to a lot in the fitness industry as a girl. There's not a lot that I can say that I really idolize or really want to push forward in me, but she was one of them. And so I met her, and that was really life-changing for me, to be honest. It hit my heart pretty hard.
Love to hear it. So people watching this that are in content creation of any stripe, whether that's academics, whether that's business, content creation, gym-focused content creation, how do you recommend content creators get sponsors in your field?
Honestly, I think that you just have to be consistent. Like, being consistent is number one in all aspects of life. Like, it's talked about a lot, but we have to push through every single day. Like, content creation is up and down, and sometimes really low and super high, and you just have to understand that it's always going to be like that, and you just got to keep pushing through, because there's times where on one social media platform it's doing so bad and we get down on ourselves, and then we're like, oh, but this one's doing amazing. Right. It's thriving. Yeah. So I think consistency is number one, and just really pushing your personality through it. And yeah, what do you have to say about that?
I think in terms of getting sponsorships, being authentic and showing your personality is the most important, because at the end of the day, when you're getting a sponsorship, you're working with a business and you have to have an equal share of value. So if you're able to generate sales, that's what the business is going to look for. So say you're like a clown and you're making content that is, you know, inappropriate or something, you might not be able to convert as many sales as someone who is vlogging and is showcasing their personality, where you feel like you're hanging out with that person and building a connection with them. And that's something we had to learn the hard way, because we were doing a lot more entertaining based stuff. And it wasn't until we really started to show our personalities through our content, we got long-term partnerships and actually were able to give mutual benefit.
So what made you realize that acting, as your words you said, acting like a clown, what made you realize doing the more entertaining stuff wasn't working?
We still do more entertainment based stuff. I don't think necessarily like stuff that we were doing was like making us seem like a clown, but just like in general, like you see a lot of people on social media like just posting like very inappropriate stuff, and in that sense I would say like I would steer away from that.
I think it's just more so like the mindset of just trying to go viral. Like when you're in it for the long term, like we really want to build this into a business and actually make this into something that we can like have children through and have a family and investments and stuff. And so I think that you really need to have an understanding of like who you are and what makes you stand out, because there's millions of content creators and it can become very oversaturated. So if you just find something that makes you stand out, like your authenticity or your personality, sponsorships are going to find you and you don't have to find them.
Yeah. And first of all, congratulations on getting the plaque, which I saw.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I see Gymoholicz your YouTube, channel is doing very well. Like I was saying before, has over 300,000 subscribers. How do you think you got there, and where do you see it projecting, like, let's say 5 years from now?
So it's going to sound kind of cliche, but I would say how we got here is just sticking to the basics. People will say this type of advice all the time and it goes over people's head because you hear it all the time. But if you just stay consistent and seriously try to do your best genuinely every single day, the results are going to show for themselves. And it's like people always say like doing your best, but you genuinely are pushing yourself to be at least 1% better, do all the highs and lows every single day. And in terms of where our long-term plan is 5 years from now, is to be in a position where we're making videos not exactly the same, but for example, like Mr. Beast, Airac, FaZe Rug, where we have a whole team working for us, and we're treating our content more like a business where we have editors, producers, and a long-term goal is to obviously have the 10 million subscriber plaque. So through Gymoholicz, we want to start multiple companies. Tiana's very passionate about her clothing brand, and something that I'm passionate about individually that we want to promote through our social media is boxing. So something definitely want to push forward is like selling out arenas and having big fights in the future.
Wow. Okay. Where do you see Gymoholicz 5 years from now?
Honestly, like Austin said, I've always been so passionate about clothing. I would love to, we are talking about doing like a little bit of a merch drop when we hit about 500,000 on YouTube. So after that, I would love to just gradually get bigger with my clothing brand and push it in the fitness industry and just, change something about the fitness industry, because I feel like a bunch of clothing brands get pushed out and there's nothing that kind of stands out to me, and I would like to be that thing. So within 5 years, I would also love to be able to be vlogging, and my dream is to have a family and to be pushing family and just healthy relationships. So I hope Gymoholicz is a business, an empire, a community, and not just some YouTube channel,
So do you guys think, let's just say in a scenario where you haven't met, but you still pursued your passions and try to monetize it and build a business and everything, let's say you haven't met, do you think you would be successful or as successful, or do you think you would have failed, or how do you think it would have worked out?
Before I met Tiana, I was very driven, and I always seen myself as being very successful. But without Tiana pushing me, I don't think we would have achieved, or I would have achieved what we've achieved together like half as fast, and I probably would have been in a different direction. So I think if I never met Tiana, I wouldn't have the success that I have.
Yeah, honestly, I can say the same. Kind of going back to the question that you just asked, like partnership is everything. Like on the bad days that he's having, I'm there for him, and vice versa. Like a partnership is a lot, and it's really nice to have someone to guide you and be there on your good days and your bad days. So I also think that we would not be where we are. But I think now is honestly amazing, and I think we're doing really good, and there's a lot more in the future for us.
Yeah, honestly, not only does it apply to, a personal relationship, but a business relationship. Let's say like there's one day you're slacking or one day you're slacking, the other person can pick up. Like you have 30% in you one day, she has 70, or then she has 70, you have 30. The other person can pick up, and then you guys can, move on from that, and just business. You're not going to take a hit, if that makes sense, because you have two people covering each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, if you weren't doing this, what you're doing right now, content creation with Gymoholicz, trying to, go into the clothing industry, the boxing industry, these big, big ideas that you have, some of them waiting to be realized, some of them have already happened, which is amazing. What do you think you would have been doing?
Deep down, like I've always had a strong connection with God and trusted God's plan. So doing what we're doing, it just feels so right, and I'm so passionate, and I've tried to do other things and pursue other businesses and other goals, but everything's brought me back to this. So to answer your question, I don't think I could see myself doing anything else.
What you're trying to do, it's a very hard road to get down, and it's not consistent money. Sometimes it's consistent, inconsistent, and that causes a lot of anxiety in you. So you really need to love what you're doing. So I'm happy you say that, because if you would have thought, I want to do something else, then it would be too hard to do what you're doing, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah.
Passion is everything. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what would you have been doing if you weren't doing this?
I would honestly answer it the same. Like, I couldn't see our life any other way. Like, Austin and I are definitely soulmates doing, I think, our exact purpose on this earth. I think that what we're doing is making a huge difference for some people, and even in ourselves, in our day-to-day life, in our future. And I would literally wouldn't want it any other way, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else either.
Right. So Austin was saying that he's always had this idea since he was a kid of he said he wanted to go into entertainment. You wanted to be very successful. These are the dreams you had as a child. Did you have these same dreams as a child, or did it come to you when you got older, or how was that for you?
Honestly, no. My dad worked on the rigs his whole life, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And like I said, when I met Austin, I was definitely struggling a lot mentally and stuff. I was always really good at school, and I had high expectations for myself. I actually wanted to become a lawyer for quite a long time. But when I met Austin, he just kind of like pushed me a lot more, and he made me realize that there's so much more to life. Again, not saying there's anything wrong with becoming a lawyer or doing anything like that, but that deep down wasn't my passion. And doing this, like he said, it's so easy, it's so natural. We wake up excited to go to work. It's not something that I'm upset about or I can talk down about. And so I definitely don't know if I would be doing that if I didn't meet Austin, but I couldn't see myself doing anything else now that I look back at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I love that. So I think you could have multiple passions, but it's very admirable, both of you, for, going all in. And a lot of people don't do that. So I respect that about you too.
Thank you.
Well,
really appreciate that.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, you literally are in sync.
There's soulmates.
We've been together 24/7 the past month.
Yeah.
So we're like pretty in sync with everything right now.
He's inside my brain.
Like telepathy going on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's at that point.
Yeah. So I know, like you were saying before, you're from Canada. How is life in Canada compared to here in Los Angeles? And do you ever have plans to move out to LA? Because, LA is very big in the entertainment world, traditional and content creation world.
Life in Canada is very nostalgic for me. It's very peaceful, and I love the environment, and my entire family's there, so it's kind of a safe place for me. And it's just, the best word to describe it is probably home. The reason we came out to LA is because what we do as YouTubers, there's a lot more potential and opportunity, and we plan to travel a lot. For moving to LA permanently, I couldn't see us actually living here permanently, but the next 10-year span for business, we do plan to be here a lot to pursue collaborations, etc.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I grew up on the lake my whole life pretty much. My family is very into summer, and so like he said, like I've always loved Canada for the summer. I'm definitely a sun baby. That's why I also enjoy it a lot here, but yeah, here's a great place for opportunity and stuff, but it's definitely not our place where we want to settle down or raise a family or anything. But being here intermittently is such a great opportunity for like this, like a collaboration, or there's just certain opportunities that are here that we just don't have back in Canada, our small town.
And you two are from British Columbia, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, I see. I've always wanted to visit BC because I have heard it's very beautiful, but maybe one day.
You'll have
It's
to.
extremely beautiful.
When you come out, let us know.
Yeah, we'll see each
We'll
other.
tour you.
Yeah. So if, again, like we were talking about before, there are a lot of individual people that want to go into gym content creation, but what I've noticed at least is there's couples too that want to get into gym content creation. Maybe not as much as just individual people, but there still is a market for couples that do it. So if there's a couple watching this right now, how do you recommend they get into gym related content creation on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc., all social media platforms?
I'm just gonna bring it back to like what we were talking about before about morals and relationship.
Right.
And I think first thing that you need to focus on is make sure that your relationship is very solid and that your morals are very solid, because you can, like I said, you can fake it for only a certain amount of time and then your true colors are gonna shine through. So make sure that you have a solid balance between your relationship and your business, because with us working 7 days a week, 24/7, it can be difficult sometimes. And we kind of had to learn the hard way that your relationship is the most valuable thing that you have and it is the most important. So I would just make sure that you have your communication, your long-term plan, and your goals kind of in line.
So your communication, your long-term plan, and your goals aligned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're gonna butt heads a lot if you are trying to steer different directions and your plan's not clear.
Right, because if you want to go this way, you want to go this way, you're just gonna run away. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
I would say, honestly, it goes back to self-love a lot. Like being in a relationship, it really does come down to how much you love yourself and how much you respect yourself, because
Sure.
if you can't love yourself, you can't love someone else, and they really do stand by that. So I think that you really need to have a deep understanding of kind of what Austin said, like your goals and your values and just who you are as a person and how you want to present yourself to your partner and honestly everyone else in your partnership. So just make sure that you love yourself, and then your relationship will thrive if there's true love there.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's yeah, that is true. That the old saying goes, and that's been said for a very long time. If you can't love yourself, you cannot, love anyone else. So yeah. So how do you, everyone has this fear of failure. It's naturally in people because people are about self-preservation. They want to look good in front of other people. They don't want other people to, perceive them as failures. They want to present their best self, because human nature is that's just how it is. Whether you're young or old or a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. You want to look as your best self in front of other people, and you don't want to take failure in a public eye, whether that's through business, content creation, etc. How do you push through your fear of failure?
So this is actually a great question, because it's something that I've experienced a lot through starting businesses, doing content. People always tell me it's not going to work out, and a lot of self-doubt. So once you start researching successful people and learning your mindset, you start to see that failure is part of the process, and you start to shift your mind and start seeing failure as learning lessons. So after you start doing it for long enough, you start to get excited. You're like, instead of, I'm going to fail and I'm going to be embarrassed, you're like, I'm going to have the opportunity to go through this, to learn and make myself stronger, so then I can be more successful in the future. And that's one thing I'm super grateful for, is that we started this at a young age. So we have so much time to fall on our face in the dirt, get back up on our feet, and become stronger through all the failures and all of the embarrassing moments.
Yeah. What about you?
I think that one way to look at so-called failure is that instead of failing, you are actually just one step closer to figuring out what to do instead of what not to do. I feel like the world has made this word failure into something like way deeper than it really is. Like Austin said, it's not, you're not failing. Like you didn't, I think only failing is when you give up and when you stop trying. And I think that if you just keep going and keep pushing through, like you don't fail no matter how many times you fall on your face. Like there's no such thing as failure until you give up at one point.
Yeah, because that's so most successful people in the world, they failed and failed and failed for a majority of their life. But to me, failure, it's not really a failure, it's just a redirection. It's like, okay, you weren't, this didn't work out for you, though that didn't really work out for you, it just pushed you in this direction and that worked out for you. Or this didn't work out, pushed you in this direction, this didn't work out, and it pushed you in the middle, and then you ran. So, you never know. That's just how life is, it's just an up and down type of process. So,
especially when you're in this industry, it can go either way at any point in time. So you just have to be prepared.
Yeah, 100%. And there's, to me, at least, again, what we were discussing before, business it's not just about providing a good and service and making money. Again, that is the essential meaning of a business, but it's more than that. It's relationships, it's providing a service, it's having good morals. With that, is there any type of spirituality or religion or any of that you have guiding you into the correct direction, if you don't mind answering?
100%. Ever since I was a young kid, I've always felt as a very strong voice in my head kind of guiding me in the right direction. I've been sucked into a lot of bad people that have tried to drag me down into partying, drugs, and I've had to experience that even with family, certain things. But at the end of the day, I've always felt a strong confidence because the voice in the back of my head has been guiding me.
Okay.
I think that you don't even really need to put a label on it, because I know some people just don't have that understanding or just honestly don't believe in it themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that if you just believe that there's something higher than you out there, like Austin constantly reminds me, but I've been struggling with my health quite a bit down here with traveling a lot, and it's been catching up to me. So
right.
I was looking at it in a very negative aspect, and instead Austin was like, this is just something that someone is putting in front of you to test you, to see how you're going to react, to see how you're going to come out on top, or if you're going to let it push you down. And so I think if you just look at life as there's something greater out there and you're not the biggest person on the mountain, it can get a lot easier. It honestly just makes you a little bit more hopeful when you do fall flat on your face a bit.
Yeah, especially since you have something to live for. There's something greater than you guiding you. What more can you ask for?
Yeah,
it gives you a lot more purpose and confidence in life.
Yeah,
exactly. And if you're going through really, really bad times, because sometimes you go through bad times, but sometimes you go through very, very bad times, you still understand, okay, it's for a reason. It's not for nothing. What can I learn from this experience?
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And that even brings it back to the fear of failure when you have that faith.
Yeah.
And you realize whatever God is to you is putting that in front of you to test you, to make you stronger. You're not as afraid as failure.
Yeah, there's a good old saying. It says, man's rejection is God's protection.
That's a good one.
So, yeah,
like
if something, isn't working out in your life, whether that, it's a relationship, a marriage, business, whatever it is, it could be, a protection from a higher power trying to guide you in the right direction, because you never know, let's say something's not going right in your life and something very bad happens as a result of it. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. So could be that type of rejection you're going through is God protecting you. So
yeah, and I also think that not even just this industry, but a lot of aspects in life, you can't always rely on family or have friends. Even your closest people, they might be supporting you, but behind your back they might not be. And so I think believing in something higher than yourself, it's kind of just you and that person. So it's just a little bit more faith, someone on your side, a little bit more protection.
Yeah, I would say so, because God doesn't fail,
Yeah.
People fail, but God, at the end, he doesn't fail.
He's rooting for you, at least, when others aren't.
Yeah.
100%.
Perfect. Well, guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you have a busy schedule. You have a lot going on. I want to thank you for your time. And, it's very inspiring what you're doing. And I have nothing but confidence that, because I see the passion, and it's not just about passion, it's the hard work. I see the hard work behind the passion, and I see the vision. So I have no doubt that, a couple of years time, you're going to be calling me, telling me, we hit our 10 million and we're going to be celebrating. So
Thank you.
100%, and we're extremely grateful for this opportunity, and there's no better way to wrap up our trip. So thank you so much for blessing us.
Yeah, we love talking about this stuff. It's amazing.
Absolutely. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Go ahead and tell me what your favorite part was in the comments below. thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.